Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. In today's video, I will be going over the new 4K Ultra HD announcements and pre-orders for November 29th, 2024. Keep in mind release dates and technical specs are subject to change. If there are any changes or additional retail or exclusives, I will update them in a future video. Also, be sure to check out my previous 4K pre-order videos for titles you may be looking for and were not covered here. Direct Amazon links to the titles listed in this video when they are live can be found on the channel's community page. Vinegar Syndrome announced last night some early December releases, and beginning with Sliver starring Sharon Stone. This 4K will support HDR and Dolby Vision. And one very obscure Michael Mann film, The Keep, is coming to 4K. This is also scheduled to ship in early December. And rounding out the announcements from Vinegar Syndrome this week, Who Killed Teddy Bear is coming to the 4K format, but unfortunately does not look like it will support any form of HDR. All three of these 4K releases can now be ordered over at Vinegar Syndrome's website. Lionsgate has launched their own direct-to-consumer physical media site, and there's a couple of Francis Ford Coppola's to start things off, as The Conversation is getting a US domestic 4K release, as well as a new Steelbook edition of Apocalypse Now. Both of these are scheduled to release on December 17th and can be pre-ordered over at Lionsgate's website. A limited edition version of Revenge of the Radioactive Reporter is coming to 4K and scheduled to release sometime in January 2025. February 4th will be the 4K release of Tarkovsky's The Sacrifice from Kino Lorber. Shout Factory's February release slate has reportedly been leaked even with release dates ahead of schedule, beginning with the 4K edition of Sick, and that is scheduled to arrive on February 4th. Arrow Video announced that Alice Sweet Alice is coming out on February 11th, and it will include 3 different versions of the film, all in 4K. There will also be a Arrow Web Store exclusive version only available at that website. The 4K edition of Conclave is coming out on February 11th. Now, this will be a mod release available at online retailers. Paramount announced for a February 11th release date, Pretty in Pink is arriving on 4K, and as per usual, it will support HDR and Dolby Vision. Another Shout Factory February release will be Galaxy of Terror arriving on February 11th. And for you John Carpenter fans, Ghosts of Mars will be getting a 4K release, also coming out that same day. On the 18th, Humanoids from the Deep is getting a 4K release from Shout Factory. Online retailers are starting to show a February 18th release date for the upcoming standard and Steelbook edition of Constantine starring Keanu Reeves. I expect these various pre-orders to start going live very soon. And the long-anticipated Amadeus looks to finally have a firmed release date also of February 18th. No word yet if this is also getting a Steelbook, but stay tuned to the channel for that additional information. Arrow Video announced this morning that Cruising, starring Al Pacino, is coming to 4K, releasing on February 25th. Tommy, starring the great Roger Daltrey, is getting a 4K release sometime in February. And while we don't have a confirmed release date or artwork for this one, the first Slam Dunk is also getting a release from Shout. Blue Underground has a release date for the early 80s film Venom, and that date is going to be March 25th. Now, if you're somebody that follows the various forums, this week you were treated to some interesting leaks provided by our friends over at Home Theater Forum. Now, before I begin, just keep in mind, take these dates with a huge grain of salt. I don't have any official confirmation that these are in fact going to be the official release dates. These are just what are posted in the pictures provided. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, a couple of leaked photos appeared online which had various release dates, and it was divided into sections, new on 4K and those films that are celebrating anniversaries. So today, I won't be showing the actual pictures here. You can head on over to the Home Theater Forum or Blu-ray.com. They're floating around everywhere there. So if you look at those photos, I'll be talking about the ones that are included in the top column. So to start things off, it looks like Lethal Weapon, the original film, is scheduled to come out on May 20th. On June 3rd, they're reportedly going to be releasing the Sean Connery Bond films in a collection. It'd be nice to get them all together, so they're hopefully finally releasing Classic Bond on 4K. And this isn't the first time Boogie Nights has made its way to one of these videos, as I've talked about this potentially coming to 4K before. Well, it looks like we now have a tentative July 29th release date for it to finally arrive on the format. A digital 4K of The Conjuring has long been out there, but a physical 4K release looks to be in the works for a potential August 19th release date. Now, I know this is going to potentially annoy a lot of people, but a Nightmare on Elm Street 4K collection is also scheduled to come out sometime in September. No word yet if these will be broken up individually, so for those that have purchased the first film recently, you may have to buy it again as part of the collection. Tim Burton's Corpse Bride is reportedly coming to 4K on September 23rd, and we're now getting into October of next year, so here we go with Green Lantern starring Ryan Reynolds also coming to the 4K format. October 21st looks to be the release date for the Blade trilogy on 4K. Once again, we don't know if the second and third film will be made available individually, as the first one was released a few years back. And according to the leak, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest looks to be arriving on 4K. This will be coming out on November 11th. But once again, take all this information with a grain of salt. This could easily either be nothing or it could change. We don't know, but once again, stay tuned to the channel. When we get official information, I will of course update it here. Now, moving on to a little bit more concrete information, the show Dune Prophecy is scheduled to get a 4K. We don't have an official release date, but I expect that in Q1 of 2025. A couple of Kino Lorber announcements this past week, including The Bone Collector. I would expect this to arrive in the first half of the year. And one of my favorite films, Somewhere in Time, was announced from Kino Lorber to be getting a 4K release. I really pray that they do a good job with this one. I'm also hoping for a 2025 release date. It's time to go over this week's international announcements and pre-orders, and as a reminder, most 4K discs are region-free. Available exclusively at Zavvi for a December 30th release date, the Black and Chrome 4K edition of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, will be coming out in that market. I really hope this means a domestic US release in physical form will be forthcoming. January 30th, Germany will be getting their 4K edition of High Noon, and it is confirmed to support HDR and Dolby Vision. One of Arrow Video's UK announcements this week includes the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is coming out in the UK February 17th. Arrow Video will be releasing Life Force on 4K in that market on February 17th, which was previously released here in the States from Shout Factory. 88 Films will be releasing Dragon Fist starring Jackie Chan. That is scheduled to come out on February 24th. Arrow announced also the UK version of Cruising starring Al Pacino, coming out one day earlier than the US counterpart on the 24th of February. Coming out in April of 2025, Germany is getting a 4K edition of Over the Top starring Sylvester Stallone. And sometime in the new year, Australia is getting a 4K of The Salute of the Jugger. We don't have official artwork or tech specs yet, but I will update that information in a future video. So those are this week's new announcements and pre-orders for the week of November 29th, 2024. If you're interested in any of the titles I talked about in this video, as soon as the Amazon links are live, check the channel's community page and also use the Amazon link in the comments section below. But now I want to hear from you. What titles did I talk about this week are you planning to pick up for yourself? And what do you think of the potential leaks I talked about? Sound off in the comments. And finally, a special thank you to all my Patrons. If you would like to support me through Patreon, I will leave a link in the description of this video. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.